Welcome back to the deep dive. We're digging into something you brought up, a really intense national conversation over in Malaysia. It's this huge debate about raising the mandatory retirement age from 60 up to 65.
Yeah, it's causing quite a stir, and you can see why it's flared up now.
Absolutely. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to cut through the noise and really get to the heart of what's at stake, because this isn't just about, 5 more years on the job. It's way more complex: finances, demographics, and some really personal choices for Malaysians across generations.
And if you just look at the basic numbers, the logic seems, well, almost simple on the surface. Life expectancy in Malaysia has really shot up. Back in 1990, it was around 68. Now
Oh, no.
it's closer to 76.
Nearly a decade longer.
Exactly. So the argument goes, if you're living longer, maybe you need to work longer to fund those extra years.
It sounds right. Logically, yes. That's kind of the starting point for the policy thinking. But it immediately hits a wall, a big one. This whole discussion really got pushed forward when groups like the World Bank started flagging concerns about Malaysia's social safety nets needing reinforcement.
Right, because there's this demographic pressure building. Malaysia's aging fast. They're projected to be an aged society by 2045. That means about 14% of the population will be 65 or older. So the government's in a tough spot.
A massive dilemma.
How do you handle that wave without the whole retirement system, especially the main one, the Employees Provident Fund, or EPF,
Yeah.
getting completely overwhelmed?
And that brings us straight to the financial core of this, doesn't it? The big reason this is even being debated so fiercely. We need to talk about closing this huge savings gap, because the numbers we found in the sources you sent, they're genuinely alarming, catastrophic almost.
They really are. I mean,
Mm.
digging into the data, the figure that just jumps out is this. Nearly half, some sources say 48% of EPF members hitting age 55. They have less than 10,000 ringgit saved.
Wow. Let's pause there. RM 10,000. For listeners maybe not familiar with the ringgit, what does that actually buy you in retirement? Like realistically?
Realistically, in most cities or even the semi-urban areas, maybe 3, perhaps 4 months of just basic living costs.
Yeah.
And this money is supposed to stretch for potentially 20 years, maybe more.
So retiring at 60 with just RM 10,000 basically means, well, retiring into poverty.
Functionally, yes. You'd be heavily reliant on government help just to get by month to month.
And that's the government's bind, isn't it? Keep the retirement age at 60 and you're looking at a massive future problem. Lots of elderly citizens needing state support, straining the budget.
Yeah.
But the flip side, pushing it to 65, feels like you're penalizing people for maybe a systemic issue, not just their own savings habits.
That's exactly the trade-off. The policy is sort of trying to force people to save more, to protect them from outliving their savings. But it does that by making older workers who already face challenges like ageism, health issues, stay in the workforce longer. A workforce that might not even want them or be suited for them. It doesn't actually solve the underlying savings problem for everyone. It just kicks the can down the road 5 years for some.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's focus first on the group feeling this most immediately. People nearing retirement now, say aged 55 to 60. For them, raising the age isn't all bad news, right? There are some definite immediate plus points.
Yeah, for this group, the benefits are quite tangible, mostly financial. 5 extra years of working means 5 more years contributing to their EPF. Even if their pay haven't gone up much, that's still 5 years of contributions.
Right.
And crucially, 5 more years for compound growth to work its magic. It could potentially turn that really low RM 10,000 into something more like RM 50,000 or RM 60,000. That's a significant difference.
That's a real buffer. And it's not just for the retirement pot itself, is it? It's about easing current pressures, too. The sources mentioned this age group often still has big debts. Maybe the mortgage isn't paid off, or they're still helping out adult kids.
Definitely. University fees, helping them get started.
Yeah. Those 5 extra years of income could be the difference between clearing those debts before retirement or carrying them into it.
And the healthcare angle, we can't ignore that.
Oh, absolutely critical. Healthcare costs tend to spike as you get older. If you lose your employer's medical benefits at 60, bang, those costs come straight out of your savings. Staying employed until 65 keeps that coverage going. For many, that's a lifeline.
Okay, those are strong arguments for delaying. But then you have the other side, the emotional impact, the practical worries. These create real pushback, real resentment.
And this is where it gets deeply personal, If you've done 40 years, maybe in a tough physical job, extending that to 65, that's a huge physical and mental ask. Burnout is a massive concern. Is that extra bit of cash worth 5 more years of grind? Plus, there's the fear it might not even happen. What if you can't work until 65? Age discrimination is real, health problems crop up, people worry the company might find a way to let them go at, say, 62 or 63.
Right, and then you're potentially left high and dry, no job, maybe reduced severance, and you still can't access your full EPF until this new higher age. So the promise of extra savings just evaporates because of job insecurity.
And there's just the feeling of having the goalposts moved. People plan their lives around that age 60 mark.
Exactly. It feels like a broken promise. They've maybe pictured 60 as the finish line, time to rest, travel, see the grandkids, suddenly being told, nope, 5 more years.
Yeah.
It can feel like having those dreams snatched away, a huge deferred hope.
Yeah, you can really feel that frustration coming through in the sources. Now let's shift gears. What about the younger generations? People in their, say, 20s, 30s, 40s. Here's where it gets really interesting because the benefits seem more systemic for the country, but the downsides hit their individual careers quite hard.
Yeah, the pros for younger workers are definitely more. Long-term, maybe a bit abstract. A longer working life overall means more years of contributions flowing into the EPF, and also things like the private retirement schemes, the PRS. So theoretically, it makes the whole national retirement system stronger, more sustainable for when they eventually retire.
And it helps the country's finances overall, right? Less strain on the government budget if fewer people need support between 60 and 65. That money doesn't have to come from current taxes, which could potentially mean less tax burden on these younger workers down the line.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
And there's an argument it pushes Malaysia towards trends we see elsewhere, like in Singapore or Japan. It encourages this idea of lifelong learning, needing to adapt, maybe pivot careers to stay relevant longer.
Okay, that's the system view. But
Right.
talk to someone in their 30s, they're probably focused on the immediate impact, career blockage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the core of the generational friction right there.
Yeah.
Is senior people, the ones in management and leadership roles, the higher paid positions, stay put for 5 extra years. Well, it creates a logjam.
A bottleneck, meaning slower promotions for everyone below them, slower salary increases, fewer chances to step up into leadership. In a dynamic economy, that kind of stagnation is frustrating. It could even lead to talented young people looking elsewhere, maybe even leaving the country. A brain drain.
Precisely. And it also means more competition for jobs,
Mhm.
especially if the market is slow or in certain fields. If older workers have to stay in the workforce, it can make it tougher for new graduates or those trying to move up.
And just the feeling of financial fatigue, being told you have to plan for working until 65, that can feel pretty daunting. It pushes back personal milestones, maybe starting your own business, taking a career break, early retirement dreams. All seem further away.
Yeah, it's this real conflict between what might be good for the national balance sheet versus individual career paths and life goals. That's the tension.
So with all this push and pull, what's the advice from the financial planning side? We looked at that perspective too, and it was quite clear. It kind of pivots away from debating the policy itself and focuses on what individuals can control.
Yes, the core message from the certified financial planners we saw was pretty consistent. Don't let the government's retirement age dictate your financial freedom. Your goal should be financial independence on your own terms, your own timeline. Relying on policy dates is just the wrong mindset.
Independence versus dependence. I like that framing. So what specific advice did the sources offer for those two groups we talked about? Let's start with those near 60, maybe worrying about their low EPF balance. What should they be doing now?
Okay, for them, immediate action is key. First, they need a really honest look at their finances. What's the exact EPF figure? What monthly income does that actually generate? Get real about the numbers. Second, and this is crucial, explore phased retirement. Don't just think about a hard stop.
Like part-time work, consulting.
Exactly. Part-time roles, consulting, mentoring, maybe starting a small, manageable side business. Something to bring in income for those extra 5 years, maybe from 60 to 65, without the full-time grind. It bridges the gap, keeps money coming in, but hopefully avoids total burnout.
Makes sense. It softens the landing. What about managing existing costs?
Absolutely. Prioritize clearing major debts, especially the house loan, any significant credit card debt. Entering that next phase debt-free makes a huge difference to how long savings last. And look into healthcare options now. Lock in affordable coverage if you can before potential health issues make it harder or more expensive.
Right. Okay, now for the younger crowd. The 30s, 40s bracket, they see this debate, they figure 65 is probably their baseline now. What's the game plan for them?
For them, it's got to be about playing offense and defense long term. Step 1, mentally adjust your target. Plan as if you'll need income streams until you're maybe 85, even 90. That fundamentally changes how much you need to save. Step 2, Diversify, diversify, diversify. Don't just rely on the mandatory EPF.
So actively use the private retirement schemes. Look at other investments.
Definitely. Max out PRS contributions if possible. Build investment portfolios. Look for passive income sources, property, dividends, whatever fits your risk profile. And the absolute key for them is harnessing compound growth now.
Because time is their superpower.
It's everything. Making sacrifices and saving aggressively in your 30s and 40s gives you options later. It means maybe you can step back earlier than 65, not because the government says so, but because your money is working for you. If you wait until your 50s to start worrying, you've lost the most powerful growth years.
It really brings it home, doesn't it? This whole proposal to raise the retirement age in Malaysia, it feels less like a bold economic strategy and more like a essential damage control. Trying to soften the blow of this massive savings shortfall, but also shining a harsh light on how unprepared many people actually are to stop working at 60.
If you zoom out, look at the bigger picture. This debate is forcing a kind of societal reset. It's making everyone, companies, government, individuals, rethink what later life looks like. How do we ensure dignity, security, well-being,
Yeah.
not just continued employment?
It's about more than just the age itself.
Exactly. The real measure of success here shouldn't just be whether people work until 65. It should be whether people reaching, say, age 60 actually have the financial freedom to choose. Choose to retire, choose to consult, choose to keep working full-time. The goal has to be expanding that financial security, giving people real options.
So the final thought for you listening to this, what does it all mean? Whether the official age ends up being 60, 65, or something else down the line, the real takeaway from these sources seems clear. True retirement isn't a date dictated by policy. True retirement starts when you build your financial independence, when your money works for you, not the other way around. Plan early, save smart, protect your freedom to choose.